Okay, this is my attempt to play Salvage Union Solo. I'm going to be using the Mythic deck that we can see here, possibly some other decks and cards, but we'll see how we get along with Mythic. You'll probably learn along as I play. I'll show you how to use that. Zooming a little bit, these are my characters. So this is it's spinning. There's Lone Wolf. Why can't we see the front of him? Zoom in a bit. This is Lone Wolf. So he is a rarity. He is a scrapper who tends to live alone, but to survive and make a living, he does what's called tagging. He will tag valuable scrap and then sell the frequency of that tag to the highest bidders, and then they can go out and recover that scrap for themselves. He'll sometimes collect scrap and sell that too, and then occasionally, if required or if people don't trust him, he will guide them to scrap as well. And I'm going to be setting this in the UK, and so Salvage Union is in a far distant future where the Earth is wrecked. Really, there's been a lot of wars, corporate wars, a lot of environmental disasters, and the main game is set over in America, the USA, I believe. But I'm going to be playing it in the UK, and my imagination has brought me to where Britain was flooding because of the environmental disasters, and the British government decided to build a wall, a massive project around the UK to protect it from the rising sea levels. They began with London, started building the wall there, but maybe other areas started to build some of their walls with the plan of joining it up to the bigger UK project. But money ran out, or some people believe the government never planned on finishing it around the country. They were just stalling while they finished London. And so there's a big, huge 200 foot plus wall around, 200 meters wall around London, now a huge fortress. And this caused a lot of civil wars as the waters started to rise. Other areas of the country rapidly trying to build their walls, but just didn't have the resources that the government had promised. And over time, thousands, millions die, and only the higher hills in the north of the country, perhaps Wales, Scotland, Pennines, places like that, Yorkshire Dales, Lake District, people had to cling and build a life on the side of the hills and mountains, while the government ruled with an iron fist down in London to maintain order within the walls of London as the waters began to rapidly rise around the walls. And then hundreds of years have passed, and the waters have receded, and the environment has got worse and worse, heated up. So I imagine most of the water has receded. Perhaps there are boggy, poisoned sections of the country, but most of it is a baked, cracked wasteland with scrap washed into as like the sea washes up rubbish into, and it collects in certain areas, and I'm imagining that the like rich veins of scrap maybe in the corners of valleys and things like that, or washed into abandoned cities and towns where it's snagged really. So maybe big cruise ships and oil tankers, things like that, and all sorts of valuable scrap is just scattered all around the country. And now the government's called the Ministry, and they are trying to retake the country. They have most of the control of the south of the country, but not the north. There's been a lot of resistance, a lot of resentment, even though it's been hundreds of years. People still remember what the ministry did to them, left them to drown, left them to it. And those that don't remember just see a rich power down in the south trying to take from them what they've built for themselves. So up in the north, they had quite a lot of land above the water level, so we're still able to farm and things, still able to eke out a bit of a life. And now the ministry is forcing its way north, trying to take back as much land as possible. So that's where we are. So let's start the game. So with Mythic, you've got to imagine what the opening scene was. Now I do have a bit of an idea. I like to start solo games where you're straight into the action. So I imagined Lone Wolf and his mech are being pursued by something. I don't know what it is, but they're being pursued. So that we're straight into the action. Something that they fear is coming after them. So maybe let's just draw 2 cards and see if that can help us figure out what that something is before we start. So what have we got? Assist. So the action is assist and the subject is dispute. Assist, dispute. So that makes you think there's been some kind of argument, some kind of dispute, and the people pursuing Lone Wolf want him to assist with that dispute, but for some reason Lone Wolf is on the run from it. Maybe he's caused this dispute, maybe he's wanted. He's wanted by these people because he's done something in their community, and they want him to come back and answer for what he's done. It's maybe caused a lot of problems in some kind of community. Let's pop them on a discard pile. And I think I'm going to ask Mythic if he's actually guilty. Is he guilty of this? Let's just have a quick look at what questions. Is it likely? I think Lone Wolf tries to live, not lawfully because there isn't any laws, but I don't think he tries to screw people over. He tries to maintain a reputation that he can be trusted, because he's a tagger after all. He has to tag scrap, get people to trust him that he's found something and not double cross them. The best case scenario is he gets paid first and they go get it. Worst case scenario, he has to take them there. So I think it's unlikely actually that he is guilty of this. So Mythic says there I've got to draw 2 cards and all have to be yes. So the question is Lone Star guilty of this? Draw 2 cards. If they're all yes, then he is. So 1. Shuffle. It's not start off looking at, so I'll put these back on. Give them a shuffle. Draw 2 cards. All have to be yes. So there, straight away. Ooh. We've got a no. So there's the no. Lone Star is not guilty, and there's no special. I think if I remember rightly in the rules of the Mythic deck, if you still have to look at the last card to see if there's any. There could be like random events and things like that. So you still need to check that. But he's not guilty of whatever they've said. He's done. And I think I'd like a bit of inspiration of what is it he's actually accused of doing. So let's just quickly look at 2 other cards. Arrive. and a representative arrive. A representative. Ooh. A representative. I wonder. I wonder if he arrived at this settlement, perhaps as a lone wolf. Sometimes he gets jobs like this. He doesn't particularly like them, but perhaps mediating between two settlements. And he was asked by one settlement to deliver a message, perhaps a message of peace between two rival gangs, two rival settlements. Maybe because both settlements trust Lone Wolf. They've used his services before, and he was seen as maybe a mediator between the two. Arrive, a representative, and he agreed to do this. Got a payday for it, but now it's backfired, and like a Trojan horse thing. He was given something. He was given something to give them, and he's delivered that. Walking away, and there's an explosion. And naively, and Lone Wolf is furious about this as well, and he'll deal with the settlement that double-crossed him. But he is responsible for delivering this bomb, so he's not guilty. He genuinely didn't know that was what the gift was. Maybe he checked it himself and is perhaps gobsmacked that he didn't spot this. Maybe it was cleverly made, and now he's on the run. So that's where we're up to. So, what is the opening scene? I think Lone Wolf is pretty good at what he does. So let's say the opening scene I have planned is that he has found somewhere to finally hide. So before I forget, what you've got to do for Mythic is you've got to keep lists of characters and threads. So, and you draw, I'll show you this, you draw a number for that character or that thread, and you write it down on a list. So the list of characters so far is my pursuers, so they got the number 3, and the threads so far: pursued because of an explosion, and spell there, tricked into delivering a bomb. Quickly change that. So when you flip Mythic cards, there might be a chance that one of those is activated, so we will see. So Lone Wolf thinks he's found somewhere to hide and lost his pursuers. Does this scene go as I expected? So we flip a card, flip it over, and see what we've got. So Chaos Factor, we're on Chaos Factor 5, that's where you begin the game. That can change, so if I'm in control of a scene, it goes down, sorry, goes up, and if I'm out of control, it goes down. And it goes as expected. So Lone Wolf, being pursued perhaps for hours, maybe even days, has finally found somewhere to escape from his pursuers. He's lost them. They've lost track of him. So where has he hidden himself? I'd like to know. Let's see what comes up here. So busily, cheerfully, that immediately makes me think that he stumbled across some kind of, I'm imagining a hermit, a bit like himself I suppose, but maybe an eccentric hermit that's busying himself cheerfully, chuntering to themselves with their daily chores. Perhaps they live in a cave somewhere, and Lone Wolf has managed to stumble across them. Maybe this hermit's quite surprised themselves they don't get visitors very often. And Lone Wolf has stumbled across their little cave, and they're quite a cheerful, happy person, very welcoming. Lone Wolf's like, shh. Is it okay if I stay a little while? Would he tell them the truth? No, maybe he wouldn't. He'd be, maybe I can cook you a meal or something like that. Should we share some food? Again, a bit of an eccentric person. Probably shouldn't trust Lone Wolf, but they say yes. And let's give this person a name. What shall I use for that? I don't think Mythic gives you things like that. Now let's use GM Apprentice. So who is this hermit? Wurabungi, that's it. They call me Wurabungi. Well, I don't really know anyone, so I call myself Wurabungi. So let's add that to our list of characters. I like Wurabungi already. I've got to give him a number. Wurabungi 15. Wurabungi, the hermit. So, I imagine this scene where Wurabungi and Lone Wolf are getting to know each other, and having this meal together, safe from the pursuers for now. So what would happen next is, does this scene continue? How does this scene go with these two? So I imagine how it goes. They get on well, they're having a good meal. Perhaps Wurabungi tells Lone Wolf a little bit about himself. Let's do that first. Let's learn a little bit more about Wurabungi. I like this character. How did he become a hermit? Lone Wolf asked him, why do you live out here all alone? What brought you to this life? Bestow, kill. What can I take from that? Bestow, kill, as to give someone death. And maybe Wurabungi does. His stories are strange. They don't really make sense. But he tells this tale to Lone Wolf about he had to gift someone death, and it had a just really confusing tale. And he couldn't live with himself. He couldn't stay with those people anymore, and he had to leave. And he's lived in this cave ever since, giving this gift of death. Maybe we'll leave it there as a bit of a mystery, but I think, let's say Lone Wolf needs to, maybe he's injured or just tired, so we're going to spend this time, I think the rules cover this, but we'll just say, he's healing up overnight. He's been invited to hunker down in this cave and maybe power down the gopher and let it dissipate some heat because he's been on the run for so long. So he's going to spend the night there, maybe tinkering with gopher, doing some repairs. Does this go to plan? Oh, wait a minute. So I would say that Lone Star was definitely in charge in control of that scene. So we were mostly in control, so we lower it by 1. So we'll put that on 4 now. But let's flip. So does the night go to plan? Scene setup, chaos factor 1 to 9, goes as expected. So he spends the night there, fully recharged. Gopher, all heat dissipated, bit of tinkering with it, repairs. And I guess says goodbyes to Wurrubungi. I think what Lone Wolf will want to do next is head back to the settlement that pretty much double-crossed him. Would he go back there? Yeah. Maybe he hasn't. Maybe he's only had half the payment for this. Maybe these people are going to be surprised that Lone Wolf is back. Maybe he was told. Yes, he was told to stick around for. He was told, they'd be very thankful, probably put on a feast for him or something for delivering this gift. So the hope was that Lone Wolf was going to get caught. He sees that now. The plan was for him to get caught up in this explosion. So, would it be safe to go back to a settlement that wanted him dead? No, maybe he wouldn't go back, but somehow he's going to be pursued. By both settlements, of course. This comes to his mind. He's like, oh, that's 2 settlements that'll have it in for him now. He knows the truth, so that settlement will want him dead, and the other settlement want him dead for delivering a bomb. So somehow he's going to have to clear his name. How is he going to do that? He's going to have to confront. He's going to have to sneak into the settlement, isn't he, and confront, let's say it's the leader. He's going to have to confront the leader and either get them to confess somehow and then record it. Or go back to the settlement that's after him and try and convince them that it wasn't him. Or being Lone Wolf, just avoid them for now while he thinks. I think he's just going to avoid them for now and while he thinks upon it. So I think the next scene would be him heading out towards. He's probably got areas that he tends to scavenge around and look into for scrap, perhaps areas that he explores. So he's going to go he's going to make his way to one of his favourite scavenging areas. So does that go to plan? Oh, no. So we're on Chaos Factor 4, it says interrupt. So for an interrupt scene, we draw 3 cards. This one determines the scene focus. Ambiguous event. Okay, so this is a complete surprise. This is something we weren't expecting. Oh, not necessarily a bad thing, not necessarily a good thing, just something completely out of the blue. So Lone Wolf is travelling to his favourite scrapping spot, and something happens. Let's flip to see what that thing is. What 2 words have we got here? Judge. Usurp. Oh no, sorry. Judge and wishes. Judge wishes. I think the thing that springs to mind here is he's on this journey. He's in turmoil. He's kind of judging himself. Maybe Lone Wolf has kind of talks to himself a little bit. because he spends so much time on his own. Maybe even maybe sees people and has conversations with them. So it's maybe past people that he's known, maybe loved ones that have died. Someone's talking to him and judging him on his actions. You delivered a bomb, you've killed people, how could you do that? And then over the other shoulders, but I didn't, it wasn't my fault, I've been tricked. And so he's having this internal monologue, this debate with himself, judging and what he should do next. And maybe that's the thing that we'll take from this scene, is that he actually is swung one way or another by these voices. So let's do something about that. I'm going to say that for that scene, he wasn't in control. So we'll go back up again. He's just in turmoil about these voices that he's hearing, this debate that he's having. So let's ask the Oracle a question. Because he's made a decision now. He needs to go confront one of these places, and I'm just going to go 50-50. So is it the settlement that had the explosion that he goes to? 50-50, and at Chaos Factor 5, you stay where you are, flip one card, and any yes. So if it's not this one, he'll go to the one that gave him the bomb, and it's a yes. So he's decided he's going to go back there and prove his innocence. So he turns the gopher around and heads back to the settlement. Now he wants to get there on his own terms. He doesn't want to be caught and dragged there. He wants to show that he's turned up himself to answer for what's happened. So expected scene is that he makes it back to the walls of the settlement. I feel like we should give this settlement a name. So D66, let's have 2 dice. 32. I don't actually know what a classified field is, but I guess this is an area that's got so hot that it's turned to glass. So I'm imagining somewhere so baking hot that the sand it's gone hard like glass. Maybe you can see it shining from a distance. And then let's roll for what kind of ruin that they've settled in. So what was that? 45 residential blocks. Okay, so this doesn't sound nice. So it's kind of, I'm imagining, so after the flood, some of the high-rise blocks still remained, washed out, some twisted and ruined and wrecked, but some still livable in. So maybe this group of settlers, scavengers, rigged all this together. Some pipelines that go through this area. It's currently chucking it, torrential rain. Sword. Sodridge. Alright, just going to update my thread. So, tricked in delivering a bomb to Sodridge. So the expected scene is he makes his way to the walls of Sodridge, this habitation block, some kind of pipeline industry there as well. It's absolutely chucking it down. I can't imagine the rain is very nice. So what was that film? Take Shelter. So the rain is almost like oil He's just constantly wiping the viewer's part of his gopher, trying to get this oil slick off. Does this opening scene go to plan then? What? Chaos Factor 5. Oh, the scene is altered. Oh, okay, so an altered scene is clearly what we were expecting. Isn't what's taking place. Something different is thinking, and the thing that immediately springs to mind is that Lone Wolf, as he approaches the blooming cold place, Sodridge. As he approaches Sodridge, it's clear there's something not quite right going on. They're under attack by something. Let's flip to see what that thing is. So I'm going to use these two description words here: mysteriously lethal. Mysteriously lethal. Okay, they're not under attack. He gets there and everyone's dead. Something mysteriously lethal has happened here. He turns up ready to give himself over and try and prove his innocence, and everyone is laid dead, maybe foamed at the mouth, but horrible boils on their faces, black liquid leaking from their eyes and ears. Something horrible has happened here. So I think we definitely increased the chaos factor here. This is definitely not in Lone Wolf's control. Is Lone Wolf safe from this mysterious thing that's happened? I don't know. 50-50. So at Chaos Factor 6 we move up 1. So it's likely, it says that he's okay. So 2 cards in a yes. Is he okay from this? Oh, there's a no. Yes, thank goodness for that. So whatever has happened here, it's not like it's a gas or something like that. Well, it might be a gas, but it's currently not affecting him inside. The gopher is fine for the moment. Let's ask the Oracle, what is this thing? Some interesting words there. Rudely abandoned. Although pursue goals. So what happened here was about pursuing some kind of goal, and immediately what has sprung to mind there is that these settlers, this band of scavengers and survivors, have been drilling down. And maybe that's something Lone Wolf stumbles across. They've been drilling down. He didn't know this behind these walls. He'd never seen this particular area. And maybe as he's wandering around, the carnage is centered. It kind of gets worse and more bodies around. Or maybe it seems to have been fleeing from some kind, and he follows this wreckage, this desolation, and tracks down what they've been fleeing from. And it's a hole in the ground with a big drill. drilling down into it, and something as maybe there's claw marks or some kind of sign that something came out of this hole. And let's discover what that is in the next time we play. So stay tuned to find out what's Lone Wolf got himself into.